Okay, so again, your first step is to draw the x, and then can someone tell me, well, what I put on top? What did I put on top? Austin?
60.
60, or how did you get that?
You multiplied 3 times 20.
Right, we did 3 times 20, which equals 60, which is on top. And what number do we put on the bottom? What number do we put on the bottom? Right, negative 17. Thank you, Abram. We put negative 17 on the bottom. What numbers do we put on the sides? What number do we put on the sides? Or what numbers are we trying to find? What's the clue for these numbers? What's the clue for these numbers? Kaden? Yeah, negative 12 and negative 5, because those are the numbers that when multiplied equals 60, but when added together equals the bottom number. So we have negative 12 and negative 5. Right, negative 12 and negative 5. Then we have two methods to choose from. I'm going to show you the first method, which is that you can draw. So this part, you're going to draw an X or a box. Okay, you're going to draw a box, and then in the top left box, what do I put here? In the top left box, what do I put here? Sorry, what was it?
3x squared.
All right, 3x squared. And then what do I put in the bottom right? Okay. 20. Okay, so again, this 3x squared comes from is moved to the top left. This 20 is moved to the bottom right. Actually, what we're doing here is actually grouping. It's just organizing it for ourselves. It's just organizing it for ourselves. Okay, what's the next thing we can do here? What is the next thing we can do here? What is the next thing we can do here? We can still fill out the rest of the box. How do we fill out the rest of the box? Does anyone know? We can still fill out the rest of the box. Okay, Austin?
You can put in the two numbers inside the x, which are 12, or negative 12 and negative 5.
All right, we're going to put these into these empty boxes. So the negative 12, we can put, it doesn't actually matter which order because you'll still get the same answer. So negative 12x and negative 5x, you can just fill in. These two numbers are going to go in here. You're just going to add an x to them. Okay, so looking at this, we want to think about what two things when multiplied equals 3x squared. We want to think about what two things when multiplied equals 3x squared. So we already know that one of them is going to be x, one of them is going to be 3x. We just don't really know which one would be 3x. So this is kind of like Sudoku, where you kind of eliminate some ideas here. So if you think about it, can the 3x go here on the top left and times a number to equal negative 5x? That doesn't seem very practical here. So can I have a number, a 3x, times a number to equal negative 12x? That looks more like a possibility. So I would actually put the 3x up here. What times negative 5 is equal to x? Or negative 5x? Well, does anyone know? What times x is equal to negative 5x? What times x is equal to negative 5x? Trevor?
Negative 5.
Right, negative 5. And then what times 3x is equal to negative 12x? What times 3x is equal to negative 12x? Mariana?
Negative 4.
Right, negative 4. And then using what we have here, we're going to combine these. So this is going to become 3x minus 5 times x minus 4. And that is our answer. That is our answer. Okay, we're going to do this by grouping, again, the second method. So you can actually do grouping and you don't need to draw the x. However, I will say it is a lot harder to find how you can split the negative 17x, because you can split it a lot of ways, especially if it's negative. You can start putting positive and negative numbers. So now it gets very interesting. So you can see here, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and write the x again. Let's just say we do this. We go, okay, fill this out. And you can see here that I would group this now as 3x. Let's just say I accidentally wrote it like this. Negative 3x squared minus 5x minus 12x plus 20. So you can see here that I kind of grouped it kind of weird, because you can think about, oh, 3x squared and negative 5x doesn't look like it's going to maybe factor out right, but actually both ways it works. So what we can do here is actually, what is the greatest common factor that's in common with the first two? What is the greatest common factor with the first two? So again, you can see here that the negative 5x and the negative 12x come from here, and I actually break up the negative 17x. It's actually, you can see that negative 17x is split into two different things, but it's still the equivalent value, right? So the negative 17x is split into negative 5 and negative 12x. Make sure that if your phone is out, you want to put it away. Okay, so what is my greatest common factor between my first two terms? What's my greatest common factor? So remember, you want to think about the greatest number and or the greatest variable. So what is my greatest common factor in my first two terms? Mariano, so you want to give a guess?
Well, this is what I did for my problem, is that there is none. We match 3x2 with negative 12x.
Okay, you can do that too. That's totally fine. Okay, but let's do this one and then we'll do yours too, because they both work. So, Brandon, you're raising your hand. You have a guess? X. Right, just x. So you can see here, and eventually we can show you that there's actually multiple ways to the right answer. What's up? Okay, what's in common with the third and fourth tone? What's the greatest common factor for the third and fourth term? Not tone. Caden? Right, 4, but if we could also take out what? Not just 4, but here? Right, negative 4, because we want it to match. So then it becomes 3x minus 5. Right, and then now we can combine these. Since they're multiplying the same thing, we can factor out the 3x minus 5. We factor out the 3x minus 5, and you can see we get exactly the same answer as before. We get exactly the same answer as before. If you also grouped them in a different manner, that's totally fine, as long as you came with the same answer. I still accept your work. Your work is totally fine.